Hey, this is the Mood 13. I felt like doing a tutorial, so today I'm going to do how to make a multi-timbral version of battery inside of Reaper. So it's pretty simple, and then once you do this one time, you can save it as a template and kind of spit them out anytime as you need them. So again, I'm using Reaper, and this version right now is 4.261. So the first thing we're going to do is right click and we're going to insert virtual instrument on a new track. And I will go ahead and pick battery 3. And it's basically going to say here, do you want to add the following tracks for this effect? If not, only stereo 1, 2 outputs will be audible without further routing. So for this I'll go ahead and say yes for now. And that's going to basically create us one main battery track, one master audio track for it, which is your 1 and 2 audio, and then you have a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stereo tracks. And these go all the way down to 32. So that's fine, and what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to select the bottom one, and we'll scroll all the way back up, and I'm going to shift select and catch all of them from the bottom all the way up to the master. And actually first, before I do that, let me select all of them. I'm going to select all of the tracks, and then we will go to, I actually use my toolbar Docker, and so far I really only use 3 quick launch toolbars. I use glue and I use color individual items, which would be like your audio sections or your MIDI sections that you would have in your timeline, and then the other color I have is to color the tracks themselves. So I picked these icons for it. This one here with the arrows kind of represents that it's the track itself I want to color, and then this one obviously is painting the individual snippets of audio or snippets of MIDI that you're going to have in your timeline here. So for now, again, I've got all my tracks selected, and I'm going to go ahead and pick like a nice red, I think, for the drums. Select the second one, the master, and all the way down. I'll get these, and then what I like to do is make it a lighter tint of that same color. And you have to kind of do things drastically in Reaper. Yeah, I kind of like that. Okay, so this is going to represent my drums. If I Command M, I get my mixer up. And this is going to get kind of large, a little bit larger than my 13-inch monitor will give here. So this is basically going to be your drums, and the first thing that I would do, let me hide the mixer, Apple M, and I'm going to get rid of all these audio tracks. The way this is set up right now, Reaper automatically set this up where you've got one master track, and you could put MIDI in this right now, and it will control the battery. I don't really use this track for that, so we're going to forget about this track for now. These are set up right now as audio tracks coming from battery. So if you're on your cell tab, right here, channel master, this is going to be your 1 and 2 output. So anytime you select an instrument, a drum patch or a pad here, a cell, you're going to be able to change what you want the audio to be, whether it's the 1 and 2 master output, the 3 and 4 stereo track, the 5 and 6, all the way down to 32, giving you 16 tracks. So knowing that, the way Reaper automatically sets it up is you get one basically MIDI track, And if you go to your I/O, you'll see that this track right here is sending all of the audio tracks. If you look at your in-out, it's sending, it's got the master parent send is turned off, so you're not going to hear audio coming from this track. But then you've said instead, add new sends. Of course the machine's done it for you, but it's basically added a new send for all of these tracks. So these are audio tracks. Okay. So what I'm going to do, because I don't like having audio tracks that I'm going to use while I'm creating MIDI, I don't like to see them right here, so I'm going to select my audio 1 and 2 master and all my other tracks down to 32. And I'm going to go to this new thing I just learned about, the track manager. What we want to do is remove these audio tracks from the timeline here. So I will simply start clicking the TCP function. Someone else, you can look up what that is, because I didn't take the time to look at it. But basically I can show all my tracks from here. Okay, but they're still in the mixer, and alternatively we're going to make some more that we're going to hide from the mixer, so I will keep the track manager close at hand. I can also show you how to make a toolbar thing. Let's try that. Customize toolbar. Let's see if that works. Let me just delete it. I'm having problems because of that. I'm going to remove glue items, so now it doesn't even exist. I don't know why it doesn't show it there. I guess if we hit save, it goes away. So we're going to add one to, as you can see, that was on floating toolbar 1. You have a couple of them. Wow. 8 of them. I only use 3 buttons. So most of you probably know this if there's that many options. So anyway, we're going to add custom action, import, export. It's pretty simple. We're just going to look for glue. You can type in anything you want. I think for the color ones, I searched for color. It's pretty simple. Select the one you want. Select it. There it is right there. I can select on it. I can choose icon. There's a whole big pile of them. I'm assuming maybe you can import your own, I don't know, but here's a pile of them. They all kind of make sense if you look at them. And we're looking for a little one that looks like a glue bottle. There it is. Let's go for that one. It appears to have changed it, so I don't need to do anything else in this menu other than select the one I want, hit save. There it is. That, of course, if you're hitting record, I'll just draw one in, say you make one, start recording here. But you have this gap in between here, which is fine, so all you'd have to do is unsuccessfully select with your mouse. I don't have a mouse right now, I'm just using the keypad, so let's shift select and simply glue these two together. Now you have one MIDI track. I think if you have an audio track, I think it'll insert silence or something. So, okay, there's your toolbar. We won't need that for anymore for a minute. So again, what I want to show you is the mixer. All those tracks are still there. Those are all the audio outputs from your drum machine. And we don't really need a MIDI track here. So we have audio tracks going out. We have our device track. And what I'm going to do now is I'll just make a couple tracks. Just double click, make a couple tracks. Let's say 6 tracks. No, 8 tracks. 7, 8. I think it's 8. Okay. Now these tracks, I want to go back to my track manager, and I'm going to turn these off in the mixer, because these are just going to be MIDI tracks for me. I'm just going to put MIDI information for each individual drum or sets of drums or groups of however I want to control the drums in battery. So I will turn those off on the mixer because I'm not really going to need to see those on the mixer, and vice versa. I'd rather just see these in the mixer and keep this area not so cluttered up with tracks. So that's the idea. Okay. Can't quite see what that says. Okay. So again, now if you look at our mixer, we shouldn't see any gray tracks. We don't. Okay. So these tracks need to be set up a little bit. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do my in and out. It doesn't really matter if you do this, but you could turn off the master parent send so then it's not sending audio out, but we're not really putting audio out in it anyway. But what we're going to do is we're going to do a send, and we're going to do a send to track 1, and it's just going to be we can do midi all, and that's fine. But that's basically all you're doing. You're just saying send to that track. Same with this one. Same with this one. And maybe there's a neat trick where you can, I don't know, let's see if we can select all of them, maybe. If we select this one, let's just see what happens. Select, alright. I don't think it works like that. Nope. Do one track at a time. But again, the good news is once you do this once, you can set up a template. You basically select all the tracks, turn them to a template, name it as, you know, battery drum machine tracks 1 or whatever you decide. And then you can call that up anytime you want. Okay. The next logical thing you'd probably want to do is pick a drum set or set up your own. You can tell this how many cells you want. You go to the edit menu, go to matrix, you can basically pick whether you want a 4x4, which we're in now, all the way up to this gargantuan thing full of cells. Alternatively, you can load in a kit that you've already made. You can open a recent, or you can simply go to your library that's built in and pick a kit, any kit, heavy rock kit, sure, why not. Okay, this one's not very exciting. It has 1 row, but that'll actually be good. I don't know, I like kick drums, so let's pick a different set. Okay. Alright, that'll be fine. So, we'll go ahead and we'll keep our kick and master. Let's put our snares and whatnot in the second track. Tom, we'll put that in 5 and 6. Five and 6. 5 and 6. 5 and 6. I'm not doing this by any drum standards. I'm just doing this for an example. I'm just basically telling these individual sounds which output to go to, and just trying to select something logically in groups. Okay, that should be enough for now. You'll also notice if you click on one, it's going to tell you which key it's playing. So if you go through on your MIDI keyboard or on your drum pad or whatever you're using and it doesn't quite hit, like your C1's not the first one, and these don't just carry on down your keyboard, you can select it, hit learn, hit the key on your keyboard a couple times, and it will assign it. So that's a nice function right there to at least get you going if you've got a keyboard or drum pads or whatever to quickly assign those. And again, we're just sending the outputs right now. So we should be able to hit command and draw a little MIDI thing out here and turn our loop on and go ahead, and we know that our first track C1, our first drum sound, nothing, no sound. Why do we hear nothing? So we'll just draw a kick drum, kick drum, kick drum, and another one. Okay, for some reason I just figured this out. Again, just so you know, shift select will select all of these. Command, I forget what it is on Windows, will select individual ones, so that might come in handy. And right click and drag selects everything, which I can't do because I'm on my laptop. Maybe I can control click. Nope. Well, for some reason, everything should be on C1. My kick drum should start there, but for some reason it's not. And what I did find, if I hit command, I can move my arrows up and down. It's in C2, which doesn't really make any sense to me, because if you look at the device, the kick drum we're activating says it's on C1. Maybe that's a bug this version, I don't know. Anyway, it shouldn't be working like that. It should be reporting the right one. I don't have my MIDI controller connected. I just have the laptop sitting here, so maybe that has something to do with it. So basically, if you want to track out drums that aren't all in the same little MIDI core, then that's why you would use multiple MIDI tracks, which I've created here. If you're the type of person that just likes to throw them all into one, heck, you might as well just toss them into here, into your master track, and get rid of all your audio tracks and just have the one. I don't really like to work that way, so I like to keep it in its individual one. The next track down. So you can see how now you've got multiple MIDI tracks. They're being sent to the one battery track. And then if you look at your mixer, there's your audio coming from the individual tracks. It is a little hot there. Okay, so we see that it's working. I'll select these tracks, just trash them. I'm going to take these tracks, shift select them, change their color. I'm going to go an even lighter pink than I was before. Okay, so it's basically all set up. You get your master tracks housing your VST. You've got 8 tracks controlling the drum machine. You've got 16 tracks of audio output, which is a bit overkill if you've only got 8 MIDI tracks. But you can do a lot with 8 MIDI tracks, and maybe you're still going out 16 tracks. The other sort of thing you can do is you can then take these audio tracks and you can bus them to... Let's go ahead and do that too. We're just going to create another track. And I think we'll just leave this one gray. And if you were to name these, which is probably a good idea, call this one Battery 3 VST. And I don't need to say that it says Battery 3 because I would put 1, because if you've got more than one instance of battery, it would be good to identify that one as 1. Call this one Battery MIDI 1, 2, 3. Six. And 8. And what this one's going to be Battery 1 Mix 1. And I'd go over here, and instead of these cryptic things, I would probably say Battery 1 Audio 1. Okay, yeah, that's not exactly what I wanted, is it? So those are all named appropriately. They're kind of color-coded appropriately. I'm going to hide the mixer, and now I feel it's time. We're ready to make our template. So I'm going to go back to View, and I'm going to go to the Track Manager. And I wonder if I can turn these all on at the same time. I can. So I'm going to turn all these on, and the mixer doesn't really matter. But I'm going to turn them all on in the track view. Because now all you have to do, let's scroll all the way to the bottom. Oh, and again, let's fix this up too. All your in-outs, I'm going to select all these, and I can move them. Hopefully successfully with my trackpad, let's see. I'm going to move these all up, because I like to have my MIDI tracks, my VST track, my MIDI tracks, my audio tracks, and then naturally my mix. So you could use multiple mixes depending on how you want to do it, but if you use your VSTs in your audio tracks here, so these would be actually, you know, your bus tracks for your drum machine, and then those all filter into one, and maybe you have another multi-effect for mastering on this final mixdown track, and you do that for all your other instruments, and then all these tracks feed into your master. So, but what we will have to do on 16 audio tracks is turn the parent send off, the master parent send, so you won't hear audio coming from that track, but we'll take the audio and we will send it to that mix track. Okay, and rinse and repeat 16 times. Okay. mix one. I'm going to double check these, and I recommend you do the same kind of double check stuff because you're going to make a template out of this, and you don't want to have the same error that you have to fix every time you open up your template. Track 20, 20. Okay. Mix one, mix one, mix one. Aha. Yeah. I thought I made a 16 one because I was blabbing. Okay. Glad I checked. Which one is this? 14. 13's right. 12's right. 11's right, and 10's right. Okay, so that's all of them. So I think I pretty much have this all set up the way that I want it. So all you have to do is select the top one, shift select the bottom one, and if you right click, or in my case, two finger select on the trackpad, unless they've changed something on me here, you should be able to save tracks as track template. This is a beautiful thing. It's going into track templates, which happens to be in my library application support Reaper track templates. That's fine with me. Yeah. Actually, in case I want to share them, I think I'll put them in my documents. So you all get to see my documents. Reaper Media. Okay, we're going to call this Battery 1. Save that guy, right? Alright, we're going to make a new track, and I'm not even going to save this one, so hopefully everything works out right. Okay, so here we have a new track. What are you going to start with? We'll start with some drums, okay? So you're going to right click on your track, two finger select on your trackpad. You're going to insert virtual instrument on track? No. You're going to insert track from template. No save track templates. That makes me very sad. Let's try open template. Documents. Reaper Media. Templates. There's our rack right there. And it should automatically spit all of my tracks back out. At this point, all I have to do is open up my View Track Manager. It still has the colors on it, which I appreciate very much, and I'm going to remove these from the track list. Make sure I got this one active. No, I don't need that. That's audio too. That's my mix down. So that's all you have to do. Now if we make this nice and small, you can see that all we have is our VST, our MIDI tracks. If we go to our mixer, I don't think I can make these smaller. I can make it bigger here so you can see them all at one time. Now you're only seeing the master track, which is literally, you can hide this one from the mixer too. It's not really necessary. It's just housing your VST at this point. But you have your audio tracks, and then you've got your mix down, which the audio from all of these tracks, all these stereo tracks here, are being sent to this one master track. So if you wanted to, you know, put all your kick drums in one and put all your highs in another, put your snares and toms and so on and so forth, and EQ these with an alloy or something like that in each individual track, and then maybe you want to put another alloy on the mixdown track that would be, you know, instead of doing individual drums template, maybe you want to do, at least for a starting point, start with mixed drums on your master, and then of course an ozone on your master track, but they recommend that for ozone. You go ahead, compose your music, do your mix, you know, get your levels the way that you want, or your automations the way that you want, and then, you know, if you're trial and error, maybe you want to throw the ozone on there and, you know, see how it's going to improve it and stuff. But it's not recommended that you use ozone while you're composing and before your mix, because uh, it's just a better idea to optimize your mix without it, and then pop it on and off, see how you like it, see if it improves it and that sort of stuff. But the idea, as far as I hear and have read, is you would do your mix down, record it onto 2 tracks, and then put an ozone on it and do your final mastering from that. So, well, anyway, good luck, everyone. This is the Mood 13, and hope you guys hope this helped everyone, and good luck. Thanks.